Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. My name's David, and this is my channel, Let It Go and Let Flow. Today I want to talk from the heart. I want to talk about this idea of our inner child. I've gone through a lot of different movements and struggles and waves in this journey uh, on the best way to heal myself and see the world in the correct way. And one of the things that keep coming back over and over is this understanding of an inner child inside of us. Now, we can call the separate self and we can call the idea of the ego. As Bashar would say, and Abraham Hicks, the idea of the ego is we have to create a part of us in order to have this journey. So, from a soul's perspective, it's maybe a smaller, limited part, so to speak, a limited perspective, so we can focus ourselves in this body and have an experience. So everybody's going to have this idea of the ego. But I think what happens is the inheritance as we come here, there's a lot of, so to speak, darkness and kind of not movement and sluggishness. There's an energy. Can you feel there's an energy that kind of pushes against us, makes us not want to move, and it's just kind of present in this earthly atmosphere, so to speak. And as children, we pick up on it from others because a lot of people have this idea or a lot of energy out there potentially from others have a sluggish, kind of slow, kind of not moving energy about them, a fear, worry, doubt. We all are very familiar with these energies and with these emotions. So that part of us, that limited perspective, we call the inner child. And the inner child, I mean, we came here with delight in our heart. There's no doubt about that. We came here to have fun, and we came here to create an adventure and to extend our light to others. That idea of light worker, if any of you know that saying, familiar, that idea of shining light upon this world in order to create more and more love. And we all have a sense of wanting to extend love. Can you feel that? That extension of love and appreciation. But at the same time, can you feel that there's another part of us that wants love and appreciation? There's a part of us that wants to extend out into the world our strength and our power and our sense of adventure. And there's another part of us that wants strength and power from the world, wants recognition from the world. Can you see these two parts? One that wants to give and the other one that wants to receive. So we would call that one part of us that potentially feels maybe alone or feels like nobody kind of understands me, if that sounds familiar to you. Maybe not good enough or not capable, looking for love, looking for appreciation. There's a consistent feeling of wanting to get. I want to be special. I want to be looked at in a certain way. Perhaps I want to make my body look a certain way so people can see me in that way. Or maybe I want certain muscles so I can be recognized in a certain way. Or I want to be successful so people can see me in a certain way. This idea of wanting to get from others or wanting to get from the world, that inner child part of us that feels alone or perhaps scared, or perhaps trying to make up for things in the past that has happened to he or she. There's a feeling of wanting to be more, but in order to be more, I have to get it from the world. So, to speak a little bit from my own perspective of my own inner child, a part that wants to prove myself, perhaps, or perhaps a part of me that feels like a victim, things pushing against me. Why do I have to go through this? Maybe some pain or some suffering that has happened in my life, feeling like it's pushing against me, slowing my energy down. Maybe relationships with others that seem to not agree with me, so I feel like I'm defensive. Perhaps a feeling of weakness in the body, or a congested mind that seems to be pushing against me. So this inner child part of us really kind of gets a lot thrown at it. And I recommend, take a second and find out, what does your inner child feel like? And what is it saying? Is it holding some of the same attributes that I'm saying? Do you have your own ideas? Does it feel like it's been scarred? Does it feel like it's been hurt? Do you see? So there's this feeling of this inner child. Now, a good meditation, just to sideways a little bit or segue a little bit, is this idea of being the observer of this life and being the observer of your inner child. This understanding that you're not the inner child, that there is another part of you that is permanent, a part of you that is unscathed, a part of you that's pure positive energy. And regardless of what you've experienced in this life, this temporary perspective, there's a true, bigger soul, spirit part of us that nothing has actually happened. That here, it's almost like you're playing the game and then you stop, you pause the game, and you realize, oh, okay, I'm still here. Everything is still well. Does that make sense? The key is to find that part of us, that part we call awareness, that part of us that can just be one with consciousness, one with awareness, one with this moment, and to be able to observe this other part of us from a neutral standpoint without any judgment. Because remember, the inner child believes sincerely that the world is against it or is trying to take things away from it. Therefore, it believes the world is what needs to give to it. There's a really big feeling of wanting to get or being afraid of the outside. That's how that inner child works. The other part of us that kind of lets go of the world for a second goes inside. Can you feel that part of you? If you want to just, sit with me for a second and get this feeling of observing yourself from a bigger perspective. Letting go of your troubles for a second, just kind of putting them aside. Letting go of some of the things that are going on in your life that get you moving and flowing so much. Trying to figure things out or trying to change things or control things. Just let all of that go and feel that part of you that's at peace. Just is. No longer trying to become, it just is. Being. The being part of us. Not the human part, but the being part of us. Just be. Breathing in this moment, recognizing nothing has actually happened, all is well. That there is no guilt, no sin, it's just all temporary. It's just a limited part of us. That there is a bigger part of us with a higher knowledge, more wisdom, a kind of peaceful, relaxed, quiet, gentle part of us that seems to observe from a broader perspective. Just observe life with neutrality and no judgment. Can you find that just for a second? Just no judgment at all. Just letting go of all of it and just being for a second. And regardless if this is difficult or not, I recommend working this second part as much as you can until you can feel that. Even if we have to find it through meditation, through being the observer. What is it that's observing the hand? I'm the hand, but I'm also the observer of the hand. Whatever I can do to find that other part of me that is bigger, more peaceful, relaxed, not so serious in this life, not so stuck in this life. We all kind of know it's there. As a matter of fact, the inner child part of us, all the issues that the inner child are feeling, all that pushback is because this other part of us is there. We would call that our inner being, or you call it your soul or your angel self. That permanent part of you. God. Awareness, consciousness. And the more we can separate these two parts just for a second, then we create a third part of us, kind of in between, a part that we can recognize we have the ability to identify with. Now from this third part, we can identify with this inner child. And I recommend sitting with the identification of this inner child. Feel its fears. It almost reminds me, if anyone's seen Poltergeist, there was a part where she felt Carol Ann, or in other movies, you've seen this too, where they can feel the fear and the pain. I can feel she's afraid. I can feel what she's thinking. Kind of sit with that idea for a second with your inner child. Can you feel its fears? Can you feel how it's been pushed against in this world? How it's been hurt? How it wants to lash out in anger or frustration, perhaps, or maybe rage, or fear or sadness? And the more you identify with it, feel the identification with it. And then also stop and try to identify with this other part of you, this peaceful, serene, unmovable, loving, innocent part of us. Can you feel that part as well? Through meditation or awareness, slowing down the mind. The mind activity is usually the inner child's thoughts. It's always very active, very sporadic, and very afraid, very fearful. Can we let go of that just for a little bit to the best of our ability, or just recognize it's not you and just disassociate yourself from that inner child for a second? Recognize that it is a identification with it that causes us our misery. It's the inability to move away from that part of us and move back towards the whole part of us that causes us our suffering. That part of the inner child that's suffering, that we can disidentify with it. We can move away from it for a second and look at it from a broader perspective, or look at it in a way of no judgment and neutrality. Are you able to find that? Because the healing of the inner child cannot come from the inner child. The healing of that inner child is to recognize we are not the inner child, and to become better and better at becoming that source part of us, that light, and then shine that light upon the inner child. Does that make sense? To find the light inside of us and shine it upon ourselves by recognizing, first and foremost, we are not the inner child. That is a limited perspective of us that we have chosen to identify with in this body, in this life, but we can move away from it and find that true part of us. And then the ultimate goal is to shine light back upon that child. Because there's a part of us that wants to get rid of the child. I don't want you. You scream too much. You cry too much. You have issues. I got to suppress you. I got to almost want to destroy it. We want to pull it away from us, and that's going to feel really bad because it is indeed a part of us. But that bigger part knows that it came here to get that part. Interestingly enough, it came here to shine light upon ourselves. We came here not to help others. There's no one that we need to help. Nothing we need to get from others. We came here to shine light upon ourselves, that hardened part of us that's still here. We came to shine light upon ourselves, to be the light for ourselves. We're never going to get that light from anyone else. And deep down, we all kind of know that, even though we try. We're never going to get that love and that true appreciation and light and that specialness from others. We can get it temporarily. The inner child feels, fulfilled. Oh, I'm getting it. But then never truly fulfilled, right? There's still a part that's pushing against it. We came and we're here to give to ourselves. Can you feel that light, shining light upon yourself? Feeling that heavy energy of the inner child, that part of us, and then recognizing and saying it with yourself, what part of me feels this heaviness? What part of me feels like I've been scorned? What part of me feels like I'm guilty? And as you let go of the inner child's belief system, and you let go of that part of you by recognizing there is a part of you, then you will find the part of you that is light. What part of me is light? What part of me is love? Permanent love. And can I bring these two together? And the only way to do it is to bring the light, to stop identifying with that inner child and start identifying with that other part of you and shine the light back upon yourself. We cannot fix what is broken because nothing is broken. We have to move away from the identification of it. Does that make sense? One fatal swoop, just I no longer will identify with you. I can recognize now that I was holding on to Carol Ann's hand. I was holding on to that person's hand and feeling their pain through empathy. Feeling their pain through being an empath. Does that make sense? Emphatic, so to speak. I can feel your pain. I can feel your struggle. But it's not mine. That's the key. It's not yours. It's that child's. And as long as it's ours, we can't do anything about it because we're taking on that pain. Just like I can't be there for somebody if I'm holding on to all their pain and struggle with them. I've got to let go of them and be the Savior for them. And we are the Savior of ourselves by letting go of the identification, finding that part of us that feels that way and say, that's not me. I am this part. And as we work those two parts, more and more, this part's going to become more active for us, and this is going to become less identified for us. And then we'll be able to shine that light more and more. And that's what it's called, to bring the child back home. Bring the child back home. That prodigal son, right? Bringing the child back to the Father. I hope that you're able to receive this. Be the light for yourself. And from there, at some point, we'll let go of the outside. It will become innocent. Because only from the inner child's perspective do we see guilt and sin on the outside. From the bigger perspective, you will see it as innocent. I hope this helps. Take this with you. And as always, it is up to you what you receive. If you like this video, hit the like button. Keep the comments coming. I'd love to hear from you guys. And subscribe. And until next time.